Oh my god, this program literally proves everything I've been going on about for ages. I'm a crossfitter, I do Olympic weightlifting, and I do a load of other sports too, but I probably don't look like what a lot of people expect an athlete to look like. I'm plus size, I don't have a visible six pack, but that doesn't hold me back. The fitness industry has basically brainwashed us into thinking that fitness is a look, and this program proves the point. At the start of Physical 100, we see 100 people come in. They have their torsos in casts. A lot of the bodybuilders are really admired from the people that walk in, and a lot of the other contestants are really commenting on their body and saying how they think they will do really well because they have a six pack or because they look jacked. We have people from lots of different fitness disciplines within this 100 people. So we've got like mountain climbers, cyclists, crossfitters, bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongmen, people from loads of different sports, and there's also a few like YouTubers in there, people that do fitness on the internet, people that do like a collection of different sports, got models and dancers. There's a huge range. What's really noticeable to begin with is they are so physique focused. There are a whole lot of assumptions made about people based on what their bodies look like, but as we go further and further into the episodes, we realise that these assumptions are not accurate. In the task where they have to move the sand, the team with one of the women as the leaders are automatically judged to be weaker because they are smaller, they don't look as ripped, they don't have the six packs, they are smaller people generally, and they don't look like bodybuilders, but they win the task, and the bigger bodybuilder kind of guys go out, and that was a huge shock. But it wasn't a shock to me. Looking at the athletes' disciplines and backgrounds, the whole premise of the show is based around this physique and who has the best physique, but what we actually see is quite early on a lot of the physiques that are revered by fitness culture that are super lean and have six packs, they're the ones that are being smashed. The ship task was a massive case in point, and there was a load of assumptions made about the different teams, and what actually showed to be effective within this task was athletes that knew how to plan and knew how to move stuff and had the stamina and fitness level to be able to pick up things and move, and these people didn't necessarily look like bodybuilders. And we had the team full of the big strong men that were assumed to have won it, and they definitely thought they were going to win it, and they took a hell of a lot longer than the other team. One of the teams presumed to be weak because they had women in their team, there were men that had like less appealing physiques by fitness standards, and there was some older dudes too. They came first with 13 minutes, but then the other team, I think they finished like 20 minutes, so there was a significant time difference, and I put that down to the fact that you can't tell someone's fitness level just by looking at them. And someone that is an athlete and has experience within a sport has a lot of valuable knowledge about moving objects and planning and strategizing that more aesthetic based disciplines and sports don't necessarily have. When we get to the later stages of the competition, that's when it gets really interesting. So this massive bodybuilder type guy, who I believe is also a YouTuber, thinks he's going to do really well in the Atlas Stone, and he's up against a guy that is a strongman. He is quite a big, stacked, big built guy. Within the first few minutes, the bodybuilder is shaking and failing, and the Atlas Stone falls to the floor. But then these two guys that are athletes in sports rather than like physique competitors last 2 hours longer than the bodybuilder type guy, and the strongman is a really good case in point. He doesn't have a six pack, he's a bigger guy, he's got more body fat, yet he is clearly quite physically fit and capable, and he goes on to win that task. This kind of theme continues where one of the most unassuming athletes wins the first sprint, and we can see the difference in mindset where the bodybuilders are like, I'm just gonna try really hard to win. The athletes are like, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna strategize in this way, I'm gonna try and push because I know I'll be good at this bit, I'm gonna make sure I deal with this hurdle properly. They're planning and strategizing, whereas the athletes that are there based on a physique competitor kind of sport are more kind of ego driven and just thinking about winning, but they don't have the tools to know how to compete and win in a sport or physical based task. In the rope climbing task, the woman that is more of a physique competitor had never climbed a rope before, and she did really well actually. She did amazing at her first rope climb, and it's a really tough skill to learn if you don't know how to do that, and it's really, you have to do like a special foot lock, and the mountain climber guy proper nailed this obviously because he literally climbs mountains for a living, so he knew how to hang on a rope and not physically exert himself that much. But again, this is just proving that there is a massive difference between going to the gym and just building visible muscles and doing an actual sport that involves some element of competition, strategy, and a different level of fitness that includes like cardiovascular, grip strength, things that you learn when you do a competitive sport. And this is not to say that one is better than the other, but what we are told throughout the fitness industry is that athletes look a certain way, and that certain way tends to be with a six-pack and a very low body fat. Whereas in actual fact, if you look at the physiques of the athletes that are doing really well in Physical 100, they do not have super low body fat because they need body fat in order to perform in a sport. Body fat is energy, and if you have a super low body fat, you are not going to be able to last. This is also shown in the run, and in the boulder task we see one of the favourites actually leave. I wonder if this is showing how leanness and like more endurance, strength endurance interact. It's when the cyclist guy ends up winning the boulder task, because obviously he's got insane leg endurance, so he's going to be able to push hard, be strong, be fast with that boulder, but do it for a really long time because he's used to cycling long distances. In the top 5 athletes that get through, none of them are bodybuilders or physique competitors. They are all athletes in sports. We have like a multi-sport guy who does like biathlon and luge. There's a snowboard cross national team athlete who also does CrossFit, and we know I've got a bias towards CrossFit, but it is literally the sport of fitness. And then the strongman guy, who is one of my favourites, not only because he literally proves my point, but also just because he seems so sweet and genuine, and he's just an incredible athlete. The guy that comes from the luge sport also has like a relatively high body fat, which again a lot of people don't expect to see on an athlete, but it's actually what athletes look like. Athletes don't look like these people that are represented in media with the super lean, super ripped six-pack kind of physique. They look more like these guys. And to top it all off, the winner of the show in multiple different events that they had to get to towards the final, the CrossFitter wins. And CrossFit claims to be the sport for athletes that are the fittest on earth, and a lot of people can agree or disagree with that. I feel like we could have a little bit more endurance-y sports in there, or some other kind of tests that are more broader tests of fitness, but when you consider all of the domains of fitness, I do agree that actually CrossFit is definitely up there in testing the fittest on earth. This whole program just proves that fitness isn't a look, and that we shouldn't be online trolling people like me based on our physique and telling us that we're not athletes because of the way we look, because fitness is a thing that you do and a thing that you can perform, and a lot of people that look fit actually can't perform in the way that we do. Neither one is better than the other. If you're training for physique purposes and you want to look a certain way and you want a six-pack and you want to be super lean, that is totally fine. And on the other hand, if you don't care how you look and you just want to lift the heaviest stuff that you possibly can, like me, or do some like crazy cool gymnastic-y movements and run a 5k, that's cool too. But what we don't need to be doing is having a go at each other based on what we look like. The people that are training physique should not be commenting on the people that are actual athletes in sports and saying that they need to do more cardio or they need to lose weight. Fat phobia is a massive issue within the fitness industry. If you'd like to hear more about that, watch this video next. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.